Chris, you were the former CEO of Flux Power and founder, correct, which was an advanced lithium battery technology company that reduced carbon emissions in industrial spaces by over 1,000 tons per year, which is, to me, it sounds like an amazing statistic, but I wanted to ask you, what exactly is a CO2 emission and what does it do to the environment? Because a lot of people, you hear about CO2 emissions and stuff, but you're like, I think it's a question that I had.
It's something that we can't see, so I feel like it's, people are, somewhat desensitized to the concept. So what exactly do CO2 emissions do to the planet?
Yeah, I was doing the boat stuff, and then the boat stuff evolved to the battery stuff, and the more that we can shift away from fossil fuels and burning things, the less CO2 emissions we put in the air, and it really is devolved into that. When you're processing things, or you're burning things, or you're changing things from one state to another, through burning them, you end up releasing a lot of carbon into the atmosphere, and it has disastrous effects that trickle down to everything that we do in life, from the weather, the storm patterns, to what we eat. Everything in the carbon cycle, has a cost. So reducing our carbon emissions is a great start to making for a better future for all of us. And burning gas, it's the sad part about burning gas is that you only get 27% of the energy out of the fuel that you burn. So to us, it just seems terribly inefficient. Like, shit, you want to get all the energy out of that gas. Like, if you're going to burn it, at least get something for it. So it's a shame to do something so inefficiently and then have a carbon byproduct and noxious emissions that are just devastating to the environment and, our global home, right? We want to keep this safe for our kids and grandkids and, generations to come. So,
Basically, the carbon that we're burning now is sequestered out of the environment, for tens of millions of years, hundreds of millions. And now we're releasing it all back out into the environment by burning fuels, much, much quicker than it was taken out. And so, maybe in thousands of years it would equalize, but in the meantime, it might make the Earth really, really, really hot. And so that's why scientists around the globe are concerned about CO2 and its ability to increase the amount of heat that's absorbed in the upper atmosphere. So if we can just restrict what we release, then we at least stand a chance of not screwing up that big mechanism.
Burning fuel is the easiest kind of leap, I think, for people to make to CO2 emissions, because they're like, oh, I see smoke. I see smoke from you burning, it comes out of your tailpipe, so that turns into CO2. But it really is a trickle down for everything that you use, because, everything has a manufacturing cost, from the threads you wear to the food you eat to, everything was processed and it took energy to do that. And that energy typically turns into carbon and emissions somewhere. So the Aptera, uses a quarter of the battery pack that other electric vehicles would use. That means that, we can build 4 vehicles with the same amount of materials it would take to build one other electric vehicle. So when you're thinking about, the input cost of the things that you use in life, try to pick things that are either reused or recycled or use drastically less content than other things out there. That's really the way to help the planet. And
yeah, it's all down to the products we buy, and that's something that I kind of realized in the last year of my life, and have made a conscientious effort to, be more careful about what I'm purchasing, and that's why I decided to buy an electric car, and it just makes me more excited to finally be able to drive an Aptera.
It's not easy. The information is not easily attained out there, and there's lots of, counter, information that isn't clear and isn't easy to follow. But, I would say just that. The easiest steps to take are reuse, recycle, and try to buy things that have, the least amount of impact with the material they bring together to make that product.
I think more and more people are doing like you're doing, though. They shop their values. They align with, they spend their money on things and organizations and companies that are at least maybe aligned with their values, or at least not opposite of their values. And so I think that's more common now.
Definitely. And as I've gotten into more environmental studies and just things that I'm reading and researching companies like yours, and we've also gone vegan and learned about all the environmental benefits that diet brings. I've kind of been scared about some of the information I've read about what's going on in the world and how it's polluting our environment and could potentially ruin our earth, and our ocean is at a great stake too. So I'm 21 years old, and I'm a ways away from having a family and starting a family, but it's something that I definitely have plans of doing. I would love to bring kids into this world, but I can't help but kind of be a little bit nervous about that. What does their future hold, and what shape is this planet that we live on now going to be in if we keep treating it this way, for my kid when he's my age or she's my age. So I'm a little nervous,